Hello everyone. I hope you all are very well and safe with your family. Myself is Dr. Hetal Trivedi, and if you have remembered, I took certain lectures in your class in the subject of forensic medicine before the lockdown implemented. Today we are going to talk about asphyxia. You all know what is asphyxia. Asphyxia is sudden stoppage of respiration, sudden cessation of respiration. We'll talk about asphyxia in detail today. Asphyxia is basically a Greek term. Its meaning is pulselessness. Asphyxia you have studied as one of the modes of death. Have you remembered various modes of the death? You have studied a chapter on death and its cause, in which you have studied various modes of death. There are two persons, Gordon and Bichette, who describe different modes of death as per their own. Gordon said that anoxia is the primary or the proximate cause of death. He said that whatever happens to the person, whichever disease occurs to the person, ultimately it causes anoxia, and anoxia causes death of the person. So anoxia is the primary or proximate cause of death according to him. Anoxia simply means absence or lack of oxygen. But other person, Bichette, said that mode of death depends on the body system involved. He considered three body systems: CNS, CVS and respiratory system. Whenever he says that whenever there is a CNS involvement, ultimately it causes coma and the person dies due to coma. For example, we say that person died due to brain hemorrhage. Brain hemorrhage is CNS affection. But ultimately, brain hemorrhage leads to coma and person dies due to coma. Same way, whenever there is CVS involvement, the person dies due to syncope. Syncope is momentary stoppage of respiration. Momentary stoppage of heartbeat. So when the syncope continues for some more time, it causes death of the person. And the third major system is respiratory system. So whenever there is respiratory system involvement, asphyxia causes death of the person because resulting condition is asphyxia. So according to Bichette, coma, syncope and asphyxia are three major modes of death. We are in forensic medicine concerned with asphyxia. So we'll talk about asphyxia in detail. Now let's discuss the types of asphyxia, or you can say the causes of the asphyxia. Whether you are asked types or causes, both are one and the same. Sometimes these may be asked as a short note in your exam, 5-mark short note. You may be asked types of asphyxia or causes of the asphyxia. Your answer remains the same. These types are mechanical, pathological, environmental, toxic, idiopathic and postural. These are various types of the asphyxia. We are more concerned with the mechanical asphyxia. So we'll talk about mechanical asphyxia. Mechanical means it occurs from mechanical obstruction to the air passage. Whenever the air passage is blocked or obstructed mechanically, it will lead to mechanical asphyxia. For example, smothering, hanging, strangulation, drowning and choking. What is smothering? You all know it. When we talk about forensic medicine, it is about our day-to-day incidences. Whatever is happening in our surrounding, that is what we are studying in forensic medicine. You just have to systematically study it. Otherwise, you all know forensic medicine very well. You all are watching movies. You must have seen a scene of murder. Murder is done by different ways. One of them is criminal closes the nose and mouth of the victim by pillow or hand or some cloth. This is called smothering. Closure of external respiratory orifice by pillow, with hand or with some cloth. External respiratory orifices are nose and mouth. So when they are closed, air cannot enter the body, and so this will lead to asphyxia. Lungs cannot receive air, lungs cannot receive oxygen, and this will result into asphyxia. Smothering. Then hanging and strangulation. In these conditions, external pressure is given to the neck. neck is pressed externally to obstruct the air passage. Like ligature is used. Hanging is very common way of committing suicide. So when ligature is tied round the neck, the loop gets tight, the person dies due to external pressure on the neck. Strangulation means ગળું દબાવી દેવું અથવા તો ગળે ટૂંપો દેવો. તમે આ પ્રકારના શબ્દ વર્ડ્સ ન્યૂઝપેપરમાં ઘણી વખત વાંચ્યા હશે. Strangulation is mostly homicidal in nature. In these also, either you are using hand or ligature, you are causing pressure on the neck externally, which causes death of the person. So hanging and strangulation are the other modes of mechanical asphyxia. Drowning, પાણીમાં ડૂબી જવું અથવા તો પાણીમાં ડૂબાડી દેવું. The air passage gets filled with the fluid and so the air passage gets obstructed. So causes asphyxia. Choking, sometimes the air passage is filled with some foreign body. It is forcefully impacted into the air passage and this causes death of the person. So smothering, hanging, strangulation, drowning, choking, these are various modes of mechanical asphyxia. We just discussed anoxia. We talked about the anoxic anoxia. Gordon said that anoxia is the cause of death and one of the types of the anoxia is anoxic anoxia. So if you try to see carefully, this mechanical asphyxia is similar to anoxic anoxia. What happens in the anoxic anoxia? Air cannot enter the air passage or air cannot reach the lungs. It is due to mechanical obstruction to the air passage. So here also what is happening in the mechanical asphyxia? Due to mechanical obstruction of the air passage, air cannot enter the lungs, air cannot enter the air passage, cannot reach the lungs and this causes asphyxia. So mechanical asphyxia is similar to anoxic anoxia. Now the other type of anoxia is asphyxia is pathological asphyxia. Pathological means various diseases cause asphyxia. These diseases are confined to upper respiratory tract or lungs like bronchitis, laryngeal spasm, acute edema of the glottis, tumors and abscess. These diseases obstruct the air passage and leads to asphyxia. The disease like acute poliomyelitis, it causes paralysis of respiratory muscles. Respiratory muscles play important role in the respiration. So when these muscles are paralyzed, the respiration is obstructed and this will result into asphyxia and that is pathological asphyxia. One more type of asphyxia is toxic asphyxia. Toxic means the poison. Certain poisons lead to asphyxia. For example, carbon monoxide poison. Carbon monoxide reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. You all know that oxygen is carried to different tissues of the body via blood and in blood oxygen combines with hemoglobin. Now what carbon dioxide causes? Carbon dioxide reduces the oxygen binding capacity of the hemoglobin. So blood cannot carry oxygen sufficiently and this will lead to asphyxia. It is toxic asphyxia and that is anemic anoxia. Anemia, blood does not have oxygenated hemoglobin. So that is anemic anoxia. Other poison is cyanide poisoning. What cyanide causes? Here tissues get sufficient oxygen but tissues cannot use those oxygen. Why? Because cyanide interferes with the enzymatic process. Enzymatic processes are carried out by the tissues. It is important for the various body functions. So tissues, because of the cyanide poison, cannot make the proper use of the oxygen. They have sufficient oxygen but they cannot make proper use of it. It is histotoxic anoxia. So cyanide also causes toxic asphyxia. The poisons like opium, barbiturate, strychnine, they cause paralysis of the respiratory center and so lead to asphyxia. The poison like gelsemium, it causes paralysis of respiratory muscles and so lead to asphyxia. That was about the toxic asphyxia. One more type is environmental asphyxia. Sometimes in the environment oxygen is not sufficient, insufficiency of oxygen in the atmosphere. For example, when the breathing is done in the high altitude, when breathing is done at polluted atmosphere, at high altitude, oxygen concentration in the environment is very less. Or when the breathing is done in the closed place where oxygen is not sufficient in the atmosphere, this will lead to environmental anoxia. Sometimes we are exposed to irrespirable gases. Irrespirable gases are carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. So that also causes environmental asphyxia. One more type is postural asphyxia. Postural means certain postures lead to asphyxia. Like whenever the upper part of the body is lower than lower one. Upper part of the body lies lower than lower part of the body. This happens when the person is semi-conscious, or when the person is unconscious, or when the person is stuporous. And these conditions result from either alcohol or from the drugs or from various diseases. So in that condition, person lies in such posture, and due to this posture, person leads to asphyxia. They develops asphyxia. And one more is iatrogenic asphyxia. Iatrogenic means drug induced. Here, asphyxia is associated with anesthesia, anesthetic drugs. Certain anesthetic drugs leads to asphyxia. So this was all about asphyxia. We are more concerned with the mechanical asphyxia. So from next time, in the next session, we'll talk about mechanical asphyxia in detail. Thank you.